Okay. Radha Radha everyone. Good morning and good evening, depending on wherever you're joining from. Thank you for joining this session. Today, we will be covering Bhagavad Gita shlokas from 6.10 to 6.13. It's a little bit different from the regular format wherein we do one shloka a day because these shlokas are similar. So I thought grouping the shlokas would work better and if we could have a discussion around all of them together. So we will be taking up 4 shlokas today. At any point of time, if you're having any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, before we begin, I wanted to have a quick recap on whatever we have done so far from 6.1 to 6.9 because they're all connected and it's in a flow and it's important to understand the complete perspective. So, a quick recap. Shloka 6.1. So, Lord Krishna, he introduces a yogi. And he says yogi is someone who performs the acts without fixating on the results. That is not attached to the results. And not someone who takes a sannyas or who renunciates from the outside while not renunciating from inside, while he's still fixing on the results. So he says that for a yogi, one of the necessary things is he performs the needed activities without fixing on the results. And and in the next shloka, to avoid the confusion, he says that a yogi is no different from a renunciant. They both are essentially the same, meaning that a true yogi would desire the results for actions. He would renounce the desire for results of his actions. So a sannyasa would have already achieved this stage. So Krishna says that the two paths are not different, they are the same. And what is very important is renouncing the desire for results of action. So this is something very important. Krishna keeps repeating this in every shloka that you need to renounce the desire for the results of your action. In shloka number 3, there were two important terminologies introduced in this shloka, yoga rukshaha and yoga rudaha. One is the aspiring yogi and one is the established yogi. So, Sri Krishna says that for the aspiring yogi, not yet reached the perfect path of yoga. For him, the karma yoga is the preferred path. He should practice more of karma yoga. And for those who have already perfected themselves in the karma yoga, for them, a dhyana or meditation is the means. This is the means to attain him for the established yogis. And next, how would we know whether we have reached that state of karma yoga? So Krishna gives us some pointers. He says that an elevated karma yogi, he is neither attached to sense objects nor to actions. He's not even attached to the actions. Forget about the results or the desire for the results. He's not attached to doing the action also because deep down he knows that he gets into the Sankhya philosophy again and he says that the actions they are a part of the material nature. So when something happens and when something responds, you know that that's the material nature. You are actually the observer in that way. While you are performing the actions, but you know the energizer is different. So you're not taking the ownership of the actions, or you're not attached to the actions. It's not that you don't do the actions. Uh, 6.5 again. Uh, all these seem to be very difficult. Uh, so Krishna gives a suggestion that elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself. Uh, okay, so he's I'm sorry, I'll come back here again. So here he says that there is this higher self and there is this lower self. Use your higher self to elevate your lower self. So this was one of my favorite shlokas, and we had a very good discussion around this. And he says that for those who have conquered the mind, how do you elevate yourself? It is by you use your intellect to conquer the mind. And for those who have conquered the mind is their friend. And for those who fail to do so, the mind starts behaving like an enemy. So we realize how important it is to have our mind in control to even practice the path of karma yoga. And on conquering the mind, a yogi, he would write about dualities and he would remain steadfast in devotion to God. So heat and cold, happiness and sorrow. So these were the things what Krishna told about in the shloka, and we have discussed this elaborately. And 6.8, he says that being satisfied by knowledge and discrimination, he remains undisturbed in all circumstances. A very important quality of a yogi, that he remains undisturbed. And 6.9, he says that such a person he looks upon with impartial intellect, be it a friend, enemy, mediator, and he's neutral and he's unbiased to all. And he is to be regarded as the highest, he deserves the highest respect. So that's what Sri Krishna has says. So looking from 6.1 to 6.9 and coming back to 6.10, while I was preparing for this, you will see that one concept enforces another concept. And we might even see that we are running in circles, or this is happening in a loop. So stay tuned, and we would definitely open up for questions, and you could feel free to raise your questions in the meantime. So what Krishna is saying is, yoga rukshaha yoga ruda. Beginner has that for karma yoga. While you are established, like for you, the meditation is the means. You're already established there, and meditation itself would become the means for you. Uh, Next. So what next? So next, Sri Krishna, he first urges us to renounce our selfish desires. And with all these desires, our mind would be unpurified. And in such a state, it is very difficult to meditate properly. Even when we are meditating, we would, always be fixated on, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this. What next? What happens? So he first says that you have to renounce your selfish desires, and then you will be able to meditate properly and use your higher self, that is your intellect, to control your mind, your lower self. And here he covers the technique of meditation. So essentially, meditation, as we all know in loose terms, uh, how it's introduced at a primary level for us, is meditation will help us to control our mind. And controlling our mind is also equally important to do our karma yoga well. So the more we meditate, the more our actions and our mind will get purified. And the more our actions are towards karma yoga, our actions are purified. And we again get back to the path of meditation, the yoga ruksha yoga ruda. Once you've perfected your actions, then meditation, dhyan is the means to attain God. So these two concepts reinforce themselves. It's not that I'm doing karma yoga now, I don't have to meditate. It's like your meditation helps you in control of your mind, and your control of your mind, your higher self and the your lower self would get controlled, and you would be able to become a better karma yogi. So these two concepts are reinforcing themselves. So having given the context of whatever we have discussed so far and what is coming up next, let's move towards our shloka. So 6.10, I would like one hand, I would like one person. We have four shlokas, so we will be covering four of us. So one volunteer, please, for 6.10. Uh, Pratyusha ji, I see your hand
Radhe
raised.
Radhe Patricia Di.
Radhe Radhe. So let me read that. Yogi yunjita satat yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyat chittatma nirashira parigrahah. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Pratyusha ji. Radhe Radhe. I'll circle back to you for the next shloka, Sandhya ji. So a yogi should constantly engage in his self, establish himself alone in a solitary place, having subdued his mind and body without expectations, giving up all possessions. Okay, let's see what he needs. So with this shloka, Krishna gives us an introduction to meditation. And in the next shlokas, he will give us more tips on how to get deeper into meditation. So this is the first introduction to meditation. Uh, yeah. So yogi yunjita satatatmanam. What does this mean? Yogi should constantly engage in his self. So the primary aim of meditation, I wouldn't say this is the ultimate aim, but this is the primary aim. The primary goal of meditation is we have to absorb our mind into ourselves. And what is self here? It depends on which path you are on and which stage you are on. For some people, the self is the Atman, wherein they go within themselves and they meditate on themselves. And for some of them, it is the Paramatma. They see the Radha Krishna residing in their heart, and they try to absorb their mind on Radha Krishna, on the Paramatma aspect of the Lord. And for some of them, it is totally the image of the God. It is the activities or the Leela of the Lord, especially for those who are into root clan. So the self could mean different things here based on which path you are in and at what stage you are. But the primary aim of the meditation is to absorb your mind into ourself. And the next thing what he says is here is yata chittatma nirashir aparigraha. Aparigraha is one of the concepts in Ashtanga Yoga. So it means that you're not, parigraha is holding. Aparigraha is you're not hoarding. You're not hoarding to things like, they say that you don't collect too much of material stuff and all. What does Lord Krishna mean here? Let's see. So yata chittatma means he has subdued his mind and body. So yata is more like always. So chittatma is like he's having a controlled mind. So he has controlled his mind and body. And nirashir is without expectations. And aparigraha is giving up possessions. So what is meant by possessions here is your titles. For example, you would be giving yourself that I'm this, I'm that, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, or I'm a wife, husband, I do this, I do that. So at this point of time, when you go into yoga, you give up all your identifications, you give up your possessions also. It is just like going into sleep. When we go into sleep, you drop up all the worldly expectations. Like, who are you in your sleep? You wouldn't know. I mean, unless you get some dreams, but in your dreams also, you could be a different person altogether. You need not be yourself, right? So it's like going into sleep where you give up all the identifications. So you're in an aparigraha state and you give up any expectations. If you have something, if you're expecting something out of your work and you see, you know that it's very difficult to sleep when you're thinking about something. So you drop off your expectations, your identifications, and you go to sleep like a baby. So that's what is expected here. But it's not like going into sleep exactly, because in your sleep, you would be letting go of control over your mind also. But here you're gaining control over your mind and body. So it is similar to sleep while it is dissimilar to sleep in a few different aspects. And again, so as we said earlier, that Lord Krishna, he said that you have to have a control of your mind to become yoga ruda, and then you do your meditation. But again, that becomes, but to do a meditation without the control of our mind, we will not be able to do our meditation also. So you see how this is getting into a loop. It is you start meditation initially for some time at least. You get a little bit control of your mind, and then you go back. You have your actions better, and this would deepen even further. Sandhya ji has raised her hand. Yes, Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, does one has to keep these things at the back of their mind while they're like that I should not be carrying any possession in my head, like, okay, or any expectations, or I should be dropping off my identifications, or these are the consequences of just deep absorption.
Ah, God says while you are meditating, when you are, and he says that you sit down for meditation. In the next sloka, he covers the postures and seating and all. So when you're sitting down for meditation, at this point of time, you drop up all your worldly identifications and expectations. While working, when we are a karma yogi, in the perfect state of work, when we have already achieved it, somewhere we are seated within ourselves. Uh, but at that time, we take a role when we do a karma yoga also. It may not be entirely possible that you drop off your worldly identifications there. Yes, Nitinji.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that somewhere I came along this quote that sleeping is unconscious meditation and meditation is conscious sleep. So basically, why we feel refreshed when we wake up, after a deep sleep, we feel refreshed and rejuvenated because our mind is completely disengaged from the world. Okay, when we have no dreams, nothing, a deep sleep, our mind is completely disengaged from the world, and that is where we feel, something good happened. But the problem is it is unconscious, right? We are not consciously doing it. Meditation is trying to simulate that similar state in a conscious state, in a conscious way, right? Now, of course, it's not straightforward, right? To let go of your identity and all that, sanskars will keep coming in. So that will happen with practice. Now, people who are able to engage, that is why when we say chant or take your mind to God, even when you're working, What happens is, if you're able to disengage your mind from world, disengage means your attachment is not there, then it will give you the same effect as sleep. So you see, the yogis, they don't need sleep. Why? Because they are able to disengage it at will. So that is the benefit of meditation. Now, we cannot disengage with our identities and stuff like that. So best strategy around that is we try to bring it back. It goes, try to bring it back. And then with practice, it starts getting better. Initially, it might be few seconds and then maybe few minutes, and then gradually you will say your stamina with regards to holding your mind to a constant thought, right? That is why in Nam Jap or thinking about God is an easiest anchor. So then if you can persist or hold on to that thought for an extended period of time, that is essentially what meditation is. Meditation is what? Holding on to a thought for an extended period of time. And if that thought is related to God, that means you are killing two birds with one stone. One is increasing your focus, second is cleansing your mind as well. So it's a conscious sleep. And that is the reason why people, they are not fatigued. You look at Premanandji, how many hours does he sleep after dialysis every day? So he's at such a super consciousness, their mind is, see, what wears us down, worldly thoughts. Chinta, bhay, shok, all these things, worrying, fear, anxiety, this wears us down. That's why we need a good sleep. But if your mind is already tuned to take it to God, you don't even need sleep at that point, right? Because it's already rejuvenated. You are rejuvenating it as you lead your day-to-day life. So that is what meditation is too. I think, Sandhya, your point was, can we keep it at the back of my mind? That is a resolve we make before sitting on a meditation, that no matter what, I know my mind is going to be a monkey mind, but I'll try to bring it back. And then gradually with practice, like Bhagavad Gita says, right? Abhyasena tu, what you,
Abhyas
Counting.
abhyasena
Kaunteya Vairagyen च क्रियते.
where again, so with practice and detachment, it will happen. Abhyasa yoga yukte. So basically, with practice only, it will happen. But the good thing about the path of bhakti is you're doing that practice by becoming ashrit on God. So God says, all right, I'll continue to make the correction. He says, na yoga kshem vyamyaham. He does not say yoga kshem vyamya tvam, right? He's not going to get it done by somebody else. He's going to do it himself, right? So that is the beauty of path of bhakti, that when you try to meditate, even as in a household life, it's not easy to get rid of desires, right? It's easier said than done. Give up desires, give up this, that. But you can still dovetail the desire to God. Say, okay, this is what my desire is. God, you don't demand it. You say, God, if you think this desire will help me, go ahead and do it, or whatever you think is appropriate. So either God will fulfill that desire if he thinks, you could still utilize it to propel your spiritual journey, or he will uproot it from, decimate it from the root itself, so that that desire itself is wiped away. So God takes control in that sense. But yeah, meditation is, again, like any other thing, requires practice. I myself struggle with it. But what I see is, when you check the fundamentals, especially when you sit at the same time of the day, you're taking care of your diet, you're not indulging your mind in 10 different things, you follow a routine. That day you will know that your meditation was better than earlier days. But it's a constant practice, right? People who sit in meditation, when they start relishing the bliss, they don't want to get off it, right? Somebody has to knock their door and say, hey, can you please get up? But meditative state, if we can maintain throughout the day by focusing on God's name, no matter what we are doing, or reminding ourselves, remembering God after every 1 hour, and offering him whatever work we have done, good work, not the bad work, that itself will start bringing in the required detachment and the focusing our mind, or taking our mind to God. That practice will start deepening. So just wanted to add that. Hope that helps.
Yeah, I just had like a quick follow-up because I feel this is like really, really useful thing that you mentioned, right? That um because we know like when we are unwell, sleep acts like a magic healer, right? Like even better than medicines, right? And so if that is something meditation can also do, I think that's like wonderful. And that's what I understood after whatever you said. So just confirming that's right, right?
I was reading a book, 13 Months in Himalayas. Okay, there's a Swami, Om Swami. Okay, that guy's from Himachal only. So I was interested in his journey. Um, this guy, he said, okay, I want to bridge the gap between I believe to I know. I'm not going to rely on dreams. I'm not going to rely on signal signs that goddess, is doing something. I want to see as I'm seeing you. Okay, that was the resolve he took and he went to Himalayas. It's a very intriguing story. And I can't imagine how can a human survive like that, right? He had a schedule, he has published his schedule also, how he would do sadhana. He was in mantra sadhana and all. 2 hours, 3 hours sleep, and then 22-hour meditation and stuff. Okay, so his body would not cooperate after 7 hours. He had to move legs, right? Our legs start aching. But then he said, God, I don't want my body to come in the way of my resolve to meet you. So please help me. And soon he was able to extend it to 24, 22 hours, from 7 hours. And then he actually saw goddess manifest in front of him. Okay, not just that. Now he's saying that you can take it with a pinch of salt and say, no, it was hallucination. He actually saw goddess manifest in front of him. Okay, he's very nicely, vividly explained the experience and Vishnu as well after a while. Okay, so after she manifested, he had taken a resolve to do it for 150 days. Okay, but she appeared on the 40th day. Now he could have easily said, okay, I got my goal done. Now I can take it easy. He said, no, it's still a commitment I made to myself. So he continued. And then during the course of his meditation, he actually saw Vishnu as well on one of the days. So it's pretty interesting. Would get a chance to do read it. But the point is, meditation, if somebody, a human being, takes a resolve, they can do wondrous things. And this guy used to meditate for 22 hours, one meal a day, and at times fasting for 3, 4 days, and he was able to sustain himself. And medical science would say, how did that happen? But it actually happened. So
Nathanji, could you please leave a link or the name of the book in the chat,
sure,
please?
I would let me, yeah. I just finished that book, pretty amazing. So,
Okay. And
uh,
meantime, we will go to Samiranji. Radhe Radhe Samiranji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. And also from the worldly perspective, uh, practicing witness consciousness also acts as helps us to create a gap between like participating versus involvement, right? If we practice,
Uh,
or if we get involved, if our practice is not to that extent, and we do get involved after completing that task, we can offer it to God so that we don't get the sense of involvement that I am doing or I am getting to enjoy the results of the task that is completed. So in that sense, and also as we are not there yet, or we don't know what to what extent we need to practice meditation to get there, but there is a thin line between sleep and meditation is practicing like 20-30 minutes of yoga nidra, which is
exactly.
like constant, like we are uh, consciously trying to eliminate all the thoughts and letting not getting controlled by them. So that will also help, I guess.
Yes, yes, definitely, Samiranji. Sakshi Bhav, the witness consciousness, yes, it was a point when we discussed that the yogi is not attached to sense objects or he's not attached to actions. The witness consciousness at that point of time when he actually realized that who am I? You look yourself as the observer. Even when the thought comes, you don't get involved in it, and when you look at yourself as an observer, that definitely helps when you're working. Uh, but having said that, in this shloka, so we say that specifically take time to sit down and meditate, and while meditating you could have sakshi bhav, and sakshi bhav is again when you're not meditating also as part of your regular day, and dhyan and yoga nidra and all what you said, it's perfectly right. I've put that up in the next slide. I'll be coming there. But thanks a lot for your views, Samiranji. uh,
And also Premanandji also says one thing that out of all the yoga sadhana that we do, it's all human effort, but in terms of human effort, we can't like reach to that level. We have our own limitations and samskars
yeah.
that let us down. So the only greatest sadhana is to do nam jap as much as we can. So uh, it's also the most easy and also the most difficult to do. So we have to constantly bring back.
Huh. Exactly. But coming to Namjat, one point which I've heard from one of the teachers, Sri Ravi Shankarji, as part of the World Meditation Day yesterday, I just wanted to put out what I heard, his views as well. So he said do Namjap, but while doing Namjap also, you know that your mind starts thinking about something else. It's not that it goes mechanical if you are able to fully focus your mind there. But if you're not able to fully focus your mind only on the Nam while doing the Nam jap also, then he said do meditation first, sit and meditate first, and then do the Nam jap. Keep both of them separate. Like, not to say that this is not important or that is not important. If you're not able to focus solely on the name, then the meditation that you do, it'll definitely help to gain a better control over your mind, and with that state, your Nam jap quality would rather enhance. So that was something which I heard from Sri Guruji, and which I just wanted to bring it here. Uh, and I have two more hands raised, Pratyusha ji and Nitin ji, but I have 12 more slides. Like, is it okay that we take for 5 minutes and cover the slides, or should we cover the slides and get back? As however you suggest is fine with me.
You can continue, Shri Ramya ji.
Okay, we'll have, if it is continuity of this, then we could finish up the discussion and go. Is it okay?
I mean, you can continue. You can continue.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry, but we'll just get back. I'll take two more slides. And uh, yeah, and one more quality, what Krishna mentions is Rahasi Sthita Ekaki, in a solitary place, established alone. So he's introducing meditation to us. He says that you have to give up all your expectations, have a bit of a control on your mind and body, and without any possessions, absorb your mind into yourself. And you choose a solitary place where you're established alone. So why established alone? We know that meditation is not a group activity; it is an individual activity, and it has nothing to do with the other person. And we should not depending on anything or anyone. Sometimes we would say that we need this perfect soft music, or we need some kind of tea in order to meditate. No, it's not like that. So it is an internal journey, and it's a journey which you take on yourself. So he say, and Krishna has also wanted to say that you have to be free from distraction. You can't sit in a place where everything is happening. That wouldn't help you to control your mind. So that's why he says that choose a solitary place where you're established alone, and you should not sit in a place that there's too much noise. And also, you can't say that I would sit in the kitchen and meditate, because while you're sitting in the kitchen and meditating, the smell or whatever, you may have thoughts of the food. So you may be alone there, but still you may be getting the thoughts of the food. So it is like you choose a place which is a quiet place. It's a place like, like when you want to sleep, you choose a place which is free from all disturbance. And when you are an expert, you call person who can sleep like a baby even in a noisy environment, meditation is also like that. Even when you're working, you're situated in a place that you're established in yourself, irrespective of whether you're working or whatever is happening around you. But while you're a beginner, or you're someone like me who has a very disturbed sleep, then you would really want to choose a quiet place and sleep. So similarly, you would want to choose a proper place where you could meditate, which is conducive for your meditation. And having said that, which the time we choose for, this was from one of the translations by Marbali, which I liked. He said that the time we choose for our meditation has to be conducive as well. And we don't choose a time which is not inconvenient for anyone. Like, if a family member needs us at that point of time, it means it's not the right time for meditation. And Nitinji also told that you meditate at the same time of the day. And I read this in one of the places, or I heard this when I was hearing about meditations from one of the coaches who was also practicing bhakti for a time. He said that place has energy and time carries memory. When you do a meditation or any activity at a certain point of time, that place is energized with it. Like, if you're sleeping every day, and when you get to that place, it's easier to fall asleep in that place. So that's the same thing, is the place starts carrying the energy when you do the same activity in the same place every day. And similarly, the time has memory. Like, you tend to sleep by 10, 11, and one of the days you're outside, and at 10 and 11, you naturally fall to sleep. So the time has memory, and the space has energy. So it's equally important that you choose the same time and the same space every day for your meditation. So that was another tip which I wanted to cover. So this is 6.10, And Krishna, Lord Krishna, he maintains the continuity after 6.10, and he on giving how to meditate, he covers the seating for which is conducive for meditation. So before going with the next sloka, I would open up a bit for discussion because there were a few hands raised, and then we can take it up. Nitin ji and Pratisha ji. Yes, Pratisha ji.
Yes, so I just wanted to say one thing that when I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we heard that Vedvyas was able to see the future, right? He was able to see what is happening in Kali Yuga, and even these kinds of things. So I was wondering that how are they able to do that? And that I will actually equate with this Sakshi Bhav. It's not even Bhav, actually, you are Sakshi, right? So, how to be meditative without setting a particular time, without setting a particular place, constantly in meditation is actually by disidentifying with the thought. We should not give any importance to our thoughts. If we are able to do that, we sit quietly in a place and do that. But if we practice every time these mental chatterings and these opinions and this, every time it comes, we have to actually consciously say, go away. If we are able to do that, we naturally become meditative. We don't need a place. We don't need, it will become a, it's like, it will become a constant thing with you. You're always meditative. And it will happen with time. But if you are able to do that, then for sure. And then another thing is, two things are mentioned here, right? Body and mind. So first of all, restful body, where the body is sleeping, almost in a sleepy state. It is not bothered about the pain and all of that. So that is one thing. Second thing is mind. So mind is chattering. So we have to focus on not giving importance to the mind, and we actually don't even have to have a posture. While walking, you can be meditative if we can work on our mind.
More
Actually,
on
so
that. I'll come on the posture because 6.11 is seating, 6.12 is posture. I'll come what posture Krishna has suggested. But having said that again, there are two concepts here: yoga rukshaha and yoga rudaha. Yoga rukshaha is you're a beginner. At this point of time, karma yoga is what is suggested for you. And to do the karma yoga better, you practice some meditation. You sit down, take time, and meditate. But again, when this process, as you progress in this, you get better. You are established already. At this point of time, you would not need any posture. For you, the Dhyana Yoga is the means. In whatever you do, you're established in yourself in every activity. So that is the next expert level. So as you said that when we practice more, that is exactly what was the context which Sri Krishna was setting. Also, that was it's like perfectly attuned. Nathan, you wanted to add on?
Yeah, I wanted to add that when we go to mandir, actually it's supposed to be a meditative place because man plus indriya, right? Mandir, both have to be controlled at that point. That is the true reason, or to have those temples where you can tame your mind and senses. In fact, the biggest slavery is obeying your mind and senses, and biggest independence is being able to control them. We think the other way around, right? When we say free will, that means whatever I want to do, that is actually slavery. If you do it as per the injunctions of scriptures, that is independence, right? So just wanted to call that out. And even in Mahabharata, there is a part where Bhishma tells to Krishna that, I have a daughter, I want to marry to you. So Krishna says, oh, who's that daughter? Who said, it's a little Chanchal though. Said, who's your daughter? You are a brahmachari. He said, my mind. So Krishna said, then I look for a virtues, right? Good virtues before I can marry that. So similarly, we all have this daughter that we need to marry off to God, but then God will look for virtues. It has to be like virtuous, like Sarvgun Sampan kind of we look for in the world as well, right? So God says, I'm willing to marry your daughter, but you need to first load it with a lot of virtues that I'm looking for. So just want to call that out.
That was very nice. Thanks, Nitinji. And Sandhya ji, your hand was raised earlier, so you want to take up this shloka. And we will need two more people for the next two shlokas as well. So you could raise your hand as well if you want to take up the next shloka as well.
Yeah, the shloka, yes, okay. शुचो देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरम् आसनमात्मनः नात्युच्छितं नातिनीचं चैलाजिनकुशोत्तरम्.
Thank you, Santaji. In a place, establish a stable seat that is not too high or low, cloth, deerskin, and grass. So what is meant here? We'll break down the shloka. Shucha deshte pratishthapayaha. Establish in clean and pure place. Why? Because anything that distracts us from meditation becomes an obstacle. It needs to be clean. You can't sit in a place where there are a lot of insects or something that could be troubling you, or in a place which is stinking or something. You can't do it there, at least for the beginners. So you have to sit in a place which is neat and clean, and it is pure. And sthiram asanam, stable seat. This is exactly where I was telling Pratishaji. Why sit down? You could stand and walk and meditate also. So here, Sri Krishna asked us to sit and meditate. So why should we sit for meditation? Why cannot we stand or sleep in meditation? So this was one of the author's perspective. So he says that meditation requires the cultivation of sattvic tendencies, and sleeping is a tamasic posture, and standing is a rajasic posture, and sitting is a sattvic posture. And our goal in life is to get over all the three also, to get over sattva, rajas, and tamas also. When you have reached that phase, it's okay, you do anything. But for the beginners, at least for someone like me, initially, like you sit down and meditate, because this induces the seating posture is of has some sattvic qualities in it. And sitting in one place without doing anything is difficult, and that should be our first step. So that should be the first stage where we can get some control of our movement, and then we can think of controlling our mind, thoughts, and everything. And I have my knee injured, and trust me, sitting at one place is so difficult. When I just feel like I have to get up and walk, and my mom says no, sit down, and I know that's it's very difficult to sit at one place. So and not ucharitam, ucha is high, not nati nicham, like not nicham is low, neither too high nor too low. So here he describes how the seat should be. He says that the seat should not be very high. I mean, if it is a high at some point of time when we are meditating, or when we are closing our eyes, if we are sitting at an altitude, we may feel that we may fall down. And he says that it should not be so low also, that this was with the time and age, like when they used to go out in a cave to meditate. So when you are very low, it could be that the insects or animals could bother you. So you are in a stable place that you're neither too high or not too low. Yes, Samiranji. You could unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think Pratisha ji, what she said uh, is very advanced state, and which I
Yeah.
agree and which I feel is that is how meditation should be, where there is no technique involved and no terms and conditions involved. But uh, also to reach to that state, I also agree with Sri Ramya ji that uh, to as a beginner or as a new one getting into meditation and stuff like that, then we need some sort of techniques to understand and how we should initiate and get ourselves involved. And personally, I agree, I think that everything should be beyond techniques, because our mind
Yeah.
is, then we start to look for better and advanced techniques, this that we get entangled to always that. But if we see a child, a small child, they don't see a technique of jumping or flipping or running, they just run. So yeah, I agree with both of you. Both is important.
That's perfectly aligned, and I think that's perfectly what Sri Krishna tried to say in the beginning. He said, "Yoga Rikshaha, Yoga Ruda," the beginner and the advanced level. And when you're an advanced level, he says that that's your natural state. It's like a means for you in whatever you do at a Yoga Ruda state. So that's perfectly summarized, Samiranji. Yes, Nitinji.
Today only I came across a lecture. I just reminded me. I don't know why. Probably that was a topic. That's why. So see, this all Lord Krishna has beautifully defined. What all things, the hygiene that we need to take care of when we do meditation. Today I came across a lecture from Pemanji where he was talking about the impact or the effect of meditation. So you do it at home, let's say that's 1 unit. Okay. If you do it in, let's say, a cave or a forest, a mountain top or somewhere, it's considered very pure. It is 1:10, right? If you do it in the banks of a river or at a dham, then it becomes 1:100. If you do it in front of a deity like Radha Vallabh and all, and if you're doing that, it is 1:1000, the impact. And if you do it in front of, keeping your guru and their Charan Paduka, it is 1:million. So he was explaining the hierarchy of how you can magnify the impact of the Nam Japa or meditation that you do. So this is kind of interesting, and that reminded me of the book that I've shared. He used to do it in forest, so at least he was doing it to 1:200, right? Keeping it a place where no distractions are there and all. But if you want to amplify or magnify it, he's actually given a very beautiful hierarchy around it. So just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, that was a very good addition for the seating. Thank you, Nitinji. Uh, shall I go with the? Shall I continue? Okay. So next one is Chaila Ajina Kusha Uttaram. So he says in this shloka that cloth, deer skin, and kusha grass on the seat. But this is not applicable for today's thing. This was when he was speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So the essence was that there should be an insulation between you and between your seat. And why deerskin? Swami Mukundananda ji says that the insects, the scorpions, specifically the scorpions, they would go away from the deerskin and even the insects. So that was why he said that you put a deer's skin and then cloth and a kusha grass. When the grass is on top, you wouldn't feel the temperature of the rock or the seat, whatever in those days you used to meditate on. And if you're sitting and meditating and if the seat gets too hot, that would again disturb you. So he says that there is an insulation, so that the seat could be very hot or cold. So now we have a good decent yoga mat and everything, and we are not in a place where we are surrounded by insects with the modern way where we have all this concrete jungles and all. So don't go out and hunt for a deer skin. That's not the essence. The essence is that there should be an insulation between you and your seat, and the seating should be comfortable for you to meditate and not too comfortable for you to go to sleep at the same time. So that is the essence here. So going to the next shloka, we in 6.12. So Sri Krishna provides a comprehensive introduction to the process of meditation, and also he points out to the goal of meditation. Initially, we covered the goal of meditation. I said it's a primary goal wherein you have to absorb your mind in yourself. So now he takes you towards a deeper goal of meditation. He introduces that in the next shloka. So any hands for this shloka? And this will be a very interesting one going forward with the discussions. I have a lot of points here as well. Yes, Pratyusha ji.
Okay, so तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतचित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युज्य ध्योगं ध्योगमात्मविशुद्धये.
Thank you, Pratyusha ji. Seated on that seat, making the mind single pointed, having subdued the activities of the mind and senses, engage in the yoga for purification of the self. So what does this mean? We will break this down. So here Sri Krishna says that the goal, that the higher goal of meditation is to purify the intellect, Atma Vishuddhaye. And here Atma is the self, your self refers to intellect. So and we see that in the shloka, Atma Vishuddhaye, the last one. So that is the goal of meditation. And what is the process of meditation? That is also given by Krishna in the shloka. He said, Upa Vishaya Asane, by sitting down. Yata Chittendriya Kriyaha, Yata Chittendriya, always, we have seen that Yata Chittatma, we have seen in the previous shloka as well. Controlling the mind and senses. Tatra Ekagram Manakritva, focusing the mind and making it single pointed. So keeping your mind single pointed will help you to control your thoughts. When you have your mind focused on one thing, the witness consciousness, what somebody spoke about, that comes as well. You get a thought, and you learn to distance yourself from the thought. You know that, okay, I'm not the thought. I'm the one who's observing the thought. So that is when your witness thing will come. And Sri Krishna says that that is very important. The uh, single pointedness is important. Controlling the mind and senses is important, and by sitting down. So he recommends sitting down in the initial phases at least. And I wanted to take another slide which says Atma Vishuddhaha, purifying the intellect. What exactly is meant by purification of the intellect? We have another slide to cover that. Before we go there, uh, so just give me a moment, please. Yeah, why control the mind and senses? Yeah, why control the mind and senses? So yeah, you're sitting in a room, and let's say that you want to be in that room. You might have thoughts of everything what's going outside the room, or it could also happen that somebody from outside calls you. So that is the same thing. When we have the meditation, we might have the worldly thoughts, or and somebody from outside the room calling us is analogous to whatever the sense objects are there. That we could be getting some smell, some scent, or something is cooking. We might get the smell, or something is around that touch. So these sense objects, they might drag us out. It's like calling from outside. So in order to get over it, we need to have certain control of our mind and senses to sit for meditation. But only by doing meditation we will have a control over mind and senses. So this is like a loop and recursion, wherein you feel that, oh, this is needed for that, but that is needed for this. But you start somewhere, you have a little control of your mind and sense also, that's okay, but you sit down for meditation and you see that getting better. So the next slide, wherein I said that what is exactly meant by purification of intellect. So we could have a good discussion around this. So this was something which I was totally excited to learn about this. So the aim of Gita is to main the three defects of our personality. So we have three defects of our personalities. They are called Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana. Mala is the dirt. So what is meant by what this dirt causes is, it causes us, our mind, to rush out into the world of sense objects. It causes us to act in the world. And how to get over this tendency, how to get over mala, is by karma yoga. So karma yoga is also action, but it is action without getting attached to the results. So it is like how a thorn is used to remove another thorn. Similarly, karma yoga, which is the purified action, or action without the attachment to the results. We have had a very deep discussions with Karma Yoga with Nitinji sessions. So that would help, for us to stop our mind into rushing into the world, or to make us act in the world, or to get to a point where we know that we are not the one who's acting. So Karma Yoga helps in removing the mala. So next is Vikshepa. Vikshepa is the tendency of the mind to get distracted. So this is where, as we progress with our Karma Yoga, we get more established with Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga, it purifies our mind. Even the name of the Lord that we take, or the image of the Lord. Why we say that, your mind has to always be in God. In Bhakti, it's all about God. Whatever you do, or your actions, your thoughts, it's about God. So it helps to purify the mind. And when your mind is purified, you will not have the tendency to let your mind get distracted easily. So the Bhakti Yoga, it helps to remove the Vikshepa. And last is the Avarana. Avarana is the covering. It is the ignorance that we are the body, or even when we know that we are the soul, we still think that in we should know that we are like a wave in the ocean, like we are one with Krishna, we are one with God. But again, we are different with God in certain ways also. We have discussed that. But this is the ignorance which fully prevents us from getting established in the knowledge of the eternal essence. So dhyana yoga, when we do dhyana, so this comes at a later stage when we've already done the Shravanam and Mananam. You can say that Shravanam is also part of a karma yoga, wherein you read and listen to the knowledge and the scriptures. And Mananam is where you have removed all the doubts. And with bhakti, you're totally with God and you don't have any doubts left in your mind. And the last one is Nidhyasan. So the meditation is analogous to the Nidhyasan, wherein the knowledge is internalized. So when Sri Krishna says that your intellect is purified with meditation, he's saying that the avarana, that ignorance, is removed. And this is something which we can say about, but actually who has meditated in that state, maybe I would have felt at some fraction of a second, but it's only a feeling which you would know when you meditate. When you might feel that establishment with the eternal essence. But this is something which we could talk of less, but experience more, the effect of meditation. But meditation, the dhyana, it definitely helps to remove avarana, which is your ignorance. We have a few slides, but at this point of time, I would like to open up for questions for a minute. We have 6 more slides, though. Uh, yes, Sandhya ji.
Question 1, like, do we have to cover all the slides today, or can we postpone them so that we can have a little bit discussion, elaborate discussion on this? Because
Okay.
I want.
I will do one thing. I'll cover up the slides and we'll keep the discussion to next week, because next week is a vacation. Many of them will not be there. So we'll not cover a shloka and we'll have only on discussions for the next week. Would that be okay?
Sure, like we
I
can do like
I would say we can have discussion now that we are actually discussing the shlokas, so that we'll not remember what we are going to discuss next time when we are not having something to
and I
discuss
think
about.
6.13, whenever we discuss it next, we can always revise what we have discussed till today, right? So that way it will be good for everyone. Does that sound okay?
We can just stop from like 6.12 and take one or another like few next week, and
Okay.
we can just continue our discussion.
I'll quickly do a very quick of 6.13, because 1, 2, and 1, 3 are very closely connected, and we will have discussion. I'll just finish off in a minute. I'll read this and I'll go through the slides again so that we get a context for discussion. So next week I'll run a quick summary of the slides and we can have both together hand in hand. So quickly, so this is 6.12, wherein Sri Krishna has emphasized on the goal of meditation. He has said that seated on that seat, make your mind single pointed, control your mind and activities, engage in the yoga for purification of the self. And the next one is very continuation of this. He says that you have to hold the trunk, hand, and neck firm and steady. You have to observe the tip of your nose and you should not be looking around. So in one of the shloka, Krishna says that focus your attention between your eyebrows. Here, Krishna says focus it on the tip of your nose. So what is meant is that the best posture for meditation, okay, the posture first. He says that you have to sit straight, all of this should be aligned, and the focus of attention should be brought to the one point of the body. When the focus is on one point of the body, at that point of time, your mind will not waver. So that will help you in getting a mind control, which in turn will help you with your witness consciousness. So by saying that observe the tip of your nose, he says that what is meant here is that we should lock our eyes on a single point. So our mind rushes into the past or it rushes into the future. When we are focused at a single point, that will not be there. So it's easier to have our eyes will not go anywhere. So when our eyes at a single point, our mind will also not go anywhere. So we will be at one single point. Our attention will become better. And one more thing, what is said is that the pranayama part. See, the mind and breath are very closely connected. When you control your breath, you control your mind. But for you to control your breath, it's not something you do on your own. You need to have a good teacher. So here, Krishna is taking another approach. He says, control your mind. And when you know that when your mind is getting controlled, your breath will also slow down. So here, Krishna is taking another approach wherein you have a proper control of your mind and your breath is getting controlled. And that will, when your breath is controlled, your mind is controlled, you subdue your mind and intelligence. So initially he said, subdue your mind and intelligence, do dhyana. But now he says that you're doing dhyana, your mind and intelligence will get subdued. So this is where I was saying that we were running into circles. But this is just a quick intro. We'll be discussing deep next week again with the discussions. So I'll just walk till the last slide, another minute, and we'll open up for discussions. So for most of us, sitting in one place and one posture is difficult. Like as Samaritri said, that should be the goal. But for most of us, it's difficult. So initially, we could take time, 10 to 15 minutes, and then we could, once we are established there, we could gradually increase it to 25 to 30 minutes. And then if we find it even better, this is, meditation becomes it's a part and parcel, it's internalized. But at least until then, our mind will resist it. But it's like a child, we have to command it and we have to get it to do our homework. So it is equally important for us, like we may be doing our Nam Jap or Bhakti yoga, whatever. But the meditation aspect is not to be ignored. You need to take time for yourself. Sit initially for 10 to 15 minutes. Sit in a proper posture in a proper place, and then you meditate. And once we see the effects, it's internalized. We could wherever we are in a state of meditation. And what's next? Next, Sri Krishna covers the object that is to be meditated upon. I sit and close my eyes. What next? What should I on? So that is being covered in chapter 14 and 15. We will be covering that soon as well. And thank you. I know it was too much to digest. Thank you for your time and patience. And now we are open for questions. And we will have this covered next week again as well. Pratyusha, you had questions. I'm done here.
Yeah, there's no question. I just thought I will say something. So, as I was saying, that we should give less importance to our thought. Actually, in a different way, what I'm trying to say is we should give importance to everyone. We have to identify ourselves as everyone. We have to look behind. So today, two thoughts were, going on in my mind. Look behind, look behind. So this is what it means that I'm and you have told the example of the wave and the sea, right? So we are identifying ourselves as the waves. We are waves. We come up, we go down. That's the cycle of life. And then we have also heard that the essence is the same, which is even if we are a drop, we are made up of the same water, right? So this picture also came that with the perspective of the sea. See, when sea is looking at these waves, that is when Bhagwan is looking at us, he is not saying this person is different, right? He is saying that everything is me only. Like how the sea is saying that everything is water, it is me only, my manifestation. It's our understanding as a wave that we are different. So we have to identify with the sea. That no, I am not a drop, I am the sea himself. So that will happen if we disidentify from every thought that identifies ourselves as one single unit. We are not. We have to go behind and we have to understand that oneness that that is the only way we can stop this thought process. So if we are able to stop the thought process, which is the identification with our identities, then we are naturally meditative. There is no beginner stage and no advanced stage. Right there, when you are not identified with your thought, you are meditative. While awake, you are meditative. So that will happen only when you say that I am everything. I am identified with you, with every small, big thing, everything that you see, everything that our senses are bringing it on us is actually the manifestation of that one Bhagwan. And I am not different from that.
True
That's
that.
what I wanted
And
to say.
yeah, and I wanted to say that what you're saying is the Mananam phase, wherein you, after hearing everything, after reading and listening all the scriptures and from the people, it is the Mananam stage wherein you know that you're the drop in the ocean, and you don't have any doubt about it, and and then it gets internalized. That is the Nididhyasan
No,
stage, and you
again,
are in the
it
meditation.
is not a mananam because mananam is what you are thinking about it, right? What I'm saying is drop the thinking.
Mananam is contemplating.
Yeah, you are
But
contemplating with your mind, right? I'm
hmm,
saying drop that. I'm saying
okay,
don't think. There is a stage where we are not thinking, just like you said, now that we are sleeping. So in the sleeping stage, we are not thinking, right? In the deep sleep stage,
right.
we are not thinking. We are naturally one with everything, but we are not aware of it. That
Yeah, but
if
Pratyusha,
yeah,
did
it
you?
will
Sorry.
yes,
But
tell
did
me.
you pass this phase wherein you had to read or something, or you had to think like what is soul or what am I, and then were you able to reach that phase like yeah I'm one with it, or how was it like you could feel it as part of your daily thing that yes I'm one with it. How could you reach that? Like some tips for us.
See, it's just simply you are made up of five elements. Everybody is made up of five elements, right? So I'm already one with everyone.
Okay. Okay. So
Simple.
okay.
We just have to drop. You also think, I also think. Maybe the experiences are different, but it's just we have to understand these are experiences only, right? So
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
where that common. It is just an experience. It is something that is manifesting as a wave. That is how you have to see. And this wave is not different from the sea.
yeah. True that.
Everything.
I'll definitely try to get there. I would say that I'm not at that phase yet, but it's very aspiring for me to hear from you all, and I always, look forward and look up to, to be there. Thank you so much, Pratyusha ji. Yes, Sandhya ji.
Nothing to add, just I was thinking that this discussion is really useful and we should take it forward in the next session. And just one minor point is like, I think Pratusha Di, in your yesterday's presentation, there was a slide on theoretical and experiential knowledge, or I think realizations, right? So I feel this also connects with that. There are certain things given, like whatever are our sanskars and tendencies, they appear theory to us, and certain things depending upon our personalities are have become part of our experiencing, and all of us are in different stages of our journey. So that's where we are all together, part of this satsang, that we can help each other, sharing our experiences and growing into closer to God. So awesome. So I think with that, let's close this. And thank you everyone for your time. And thank you so much, Sri Ramya ji, for so beautifully conducting this. And we'll see each other next Saturday for the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Sunday for follow up of this Bhagavad Gita. Radhe
Thank you
Radhe.
so much, everyone. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Radhaji.